Imagine standing on a mountain in 1720s Jamaica, mist curling around you, the sound of drums echoing through the valley, and a single woman, wrapped in red and gold, staring down an entire empire. They said a woman couldn't lead an army. They said no enslaved people could ever defeat the British. They were wrong. This is the story of Queen Nanny, the woman who outsmarted the world's most powerful empire using courage, cunning, and something the British could never understand: freedom that ran in her blood. By the early 1700s, Jamaica was one of Britain's most profitable colonies, built on sugar, gold, and the blood of enslaved Africans. Plantations stretched across the island, and cruelty was law. But in the mountains, deep in the blue hills of Jamaica, something powerful was growing. Runaway Africans had escaped the plantations and formed secret communities known as Maroons, from the Spanish word cimarron, meaning wild or untamed. They weren't slaves. They were survivors, warriors, families who refused to kneel. And among them, a new leader was rising, a woman whispered about in fear and awe. Her name was Nanny. Queen Nanny's early life is wrapped in both mystery and myth. Some say she was born in Ghana, among the Ashanti people, known for their fierce warriors and powerful queens. Others say she was born in Jamaica, the daughter of enslaved Africans who carried the memories of Africa in their hearts. But what everyone agrees on is this: Nanny was not ordinary. She could read the land like a book. She could command respect without a word. And most importantly, she believed in freedom. Not someday, but now. Under her leadership, the Maroons of the Windward Mountains grew strong. She trained her people in guerrilla warfare, teaching them to fight from the shadows. They used the forest as armor, ambushing British soldiers, then vanishing like smoke. To the colonizers, she became a ghost. To her people, she became mother of the nation. The British couldn't stand the idea of free Africans living beyond their control. So they sent soldiers, heavily armed, confident, trained in European warfare. But in Jamaica's mountains, that didn't matter. The Maroons fought with strategy and spirit. They struck at night, used horns to signal ambushes, and set ingenious traps. Queen Nanny's warriors were few, sometimes just dozens against hundreds. But they always seemed to know when and where the enemy would strike. Some said Nanny had supernatural powers, that she could catch bullets with her bare hands, that she could summon ancestors in battle. The British laughed until they met her. One British officer wrote that fighting the Maroons was like fighting shadows. And in those shadows, Nanny reigned. Many accounts say Nanny was not just a warrior. She was also a spiritual leader. She practiced obeah, an African-derived spiritual tradition. It wasn't witchcraft. It was protection, wisdom, and the soul of Africa itself. Before every battle, Nanny would lead rituals. She'd pour libations, chant in the old languages, and call upon the spirits of the ancestors. Her people believed that as long as Nanny stood, the ancestors stood with them. One story says she hid the Maroons' ammunition in a calabash gourd, and when the British tried to take it, it exploded, killing them all. Another says she could turn invisible, vanishing into thin air when danger approached. Myth or truth? Maybe both. Because for her people, Queen Nanny was more than human. She was the embodiment of freedom itself. In 1734, the British launched one of their largest attacks, determined to destroy Nanny and her mountain stronghold Nanny Town. They sent hundreds of soldiers up the steep cliffs, cutting through jungle and rivers. But the Maroons were waiting. They rolled boulders down the hills. They fired from the trees. They fought with fury. The British claimed they captured Nanny Town. But even they admitted, they never captured Nanny herself. Some said she was killed in battle. Others swore she escaped and lived to old age, watching her people win their freedom. Whatever the truth, the British could never truly defeat the Maroons. By the 1740s, they were forced to sign a peace treaty, recognizing the Maroons as free and self-governing people. And at the heart of that victory was Queen Nanny. Today, the memory of Queen Nanny is carved into Jamaica's soul. She's not just a legend, she's a national hero. Her face appears on the $500 Jamaican bill. And her descendants, the Maroons of Moortown, still honor her name in song, dance, and ceremony. They say, when the drums beat in the mountains, Nanny still listens. And when freedom is threatened, her spirit rises again. But Queen Nanny's story isn't just Jamaican history. It's Black history, women's history, human history. A story that reminds us, freedom is never given. It is fought for, and guarded by those brave enough to dream it into being. 300 years later, her story still whispers through the wind in the Blue Mountains, calling every generation to remember the cost and the power of freedom. So the next time someone tells you one person can't change the world, remember the woman who stood against an empire and won. Her name was Queen Nanny of the Maroons, and her legacy lives on. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Like this video, share it with someone who loves untold history, and drop a comment. Because stories like hers deserve to be told, again and again.